Hey, so I'm working on a Kawasaki 636 ZX6R. This is a 2012, and it came to me with a rod knock. It just had a faint rod knock, and so I took the engine apart, and this is what I found. Sorry, it's after assembly, so it's always a mess. So these are the connecting rod bearings that were inside the engine, and some of them have scratches because I used like these little picks to get them out. They were kind of tight, but this is what the engine bearings look like. Number one, I was suspecting it was making that noise, and you can see it's almost like the engine starved of oil at one point. See if I can give you a better camera view. There you go. Took a lot of bearing material off in the middle there. So I think it starved of oil, and it hurt it. This one was pretty done too. Wiped the bearings pretty good. This is the crank main bearings. The saddles. And I did replace all of those. This is all the packages from Kawasaki. I did use genuine Kawasaki because they use good stuff on their bearings. But the sizes are exact. These were black, the center were green. So hopefully she'll stay together, stay healthy for a while. It's very important and vital that you use the correct engine oil. Kawasaki says they want you to use 10W40. So that's what we will use. I like 5W30, 5W40. What is it, 5W40? Yeah, 5W40. This is the bike back together now. I've gotten it to the point where I've done all these little inspections. I also rebuilt the oil pump. There's some pieces that I replaced inside the engine. Tearing this engine down was kind of a feat. There was lots of little things that I needed to fix. Some of the bolts were stripped out, so I had to, repair threads. Here's some of the stuff that I've had to do. This is a bolt out of the cam cap, and it's an Allen head, and it stripped out, and so I had to weld this Allen wrench to it to get it out, and I got it out, and I replaced the bolt. So engine case, there was like broken bolts, like this one. I'm replacing the bolt right now. That's one bolt right there I had to extract. But everything is back together, and the bike is healthy. I did an oil pressure test on it. It tested out good. If you ever wanted to do an oil pressure test on your bike, this is where the port would be, and you would hook your oil pressure gauge to that. There are no leaks. That's one thing that I inspected for. This bike runs, but you don't want to run it too long without an exhaust manifold. But here's what this motorcycle sounds like without an exhaust manifold. Motor is nice and healthy again. Super happy with how this turned out. But make sure you keep your oil levels full, guys. I think the culprit of this engine almost spinning a rod bearing, was because it starved of oil. So always make sure that you have enough oil. You can run it to the higher line. It's okay if it's above the high line too. I like to run it just above. That way when it's running, it's got plenty of oil. If you like to do wheelies and stuff, be mindful of the oil level, right? When you're doing wheelies. Sometimes when you're doing wheelies, you make the engine start with oil, and that's what happens. It wipes the bearings. You don't want that to happen. This is an expensive job. You know, to rebuild engines like this on a motorcycle like this, $3,000–4,000. All the labor involved, because not only do we have to go in and fix the engine, but there's a lot of things that I'm going to want to do after this is done, like clean fuel injectors, make sure that all the injectors are working correctly and we're firing off on all the cylinders, and we're getting adequate fuel flow. There's two sets of injectors. We got primary, secondaries. These are the secondaries. The primaries are on the bottom here. So we want to make sure that everything's working correct on our new engine. Put a new oil pump in it, new seals, bushings that go on the oil pickup. I also cleaned the oil pickup tube, make sure the pre-screen was free of debris, and make sure that, you know, it's going to have a good, long, healthy life. And new valve cover gasket, and then I did a valve lash inspection while I had the engine out, which is a lot easier than having it in the bike because you have more room to put the feeler gauge in. So we did a valve adjustment on it and made sure that all the valves are in spec and that the engine is healthy. Thank you. Please like and subscribe if you want. I appreciate it, and hope to see you again. But Kawasaki 636 ZX6R coming back to life. This bike, miles. This customer, he purchased this bike used. It has 26,000 miles on it. So this is what 26,000 miles look like. 26,000 miles. Probably hard riding. But I'm going to say maybe starved of engine oil a few times. That one's nasty, huh? Crank was in good shape. I did send it out and have it cleaned and polished and made sure all the journals were still in good shape and, you know, good size, not oval or untrue or round, unround, not round. How do I say that? Anyways, I appreciate you. See ya. I have lots more working on all kinds of stuff, but that ZX6R needs to go home. And so it's next to finish. So I'll be buttoning that thing back up and putting a little bit of miles on it and making sure that it runs well for the customer. That's it. Thank you. See ya.